Well, hello, and welcome. Oh, it seems like it's been a hot minute. Welcome to another special guest slot with the very wonderful Elizabeth Keates. Hello, Elizabeth.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
good afternoon. Well, today we've got an exciting topic, and well, Elizabeth, it's not really going to be as advertised, right? We are going to talk about why video is important in SEO for sure, but I know you've got some great hints and tips for our viewers today about taking video and the likes themselves. But Elizabeth and I, full disclosure, we have worked together. She's provided some fantastic products for my customers. But Elizabeth, why don't you just give a very short description of yourself and your services at Create?
Okay, yeah, brilliant. I actually thought the best way to do that would be to play a mini film, which sort of introduces us. We are a team of four, and we do film and photography. And I have a little show reel. So, shall I just jump in and start
We'll share that with our guys and girls right now.
there? Okay, fantastic. Here we go.
Run DP.
So, there we go. That's what we do.
Now, I muted myself to make sure we didn't get any sort of reverb or feedback. There seems to be a theme there, Elizabeth. There was holidays, food, drink. I mean, all of the things you want, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we do tell stories from any sort of platform, any industry. But yes, obviously the ones where you have to fly out to the Seychelles, I mean, they are particularly good stories.
Far more glamorous than me asking you and Mark to come down to Gravesend to a factory to do some filming.
and actually, we must talk about that today. We must talk about that a bit later because it's a great part of this journey, and I think a great inspiration for people who are thinking, well, I am in a factory. I'm not in the Seychelles, so what can I do? So yeah,
We'll definitely come back to that. I have checked on the internet, and we are indeed live, and we do have real life people watching us. So if you do have any specific questions for Elizabeth, we're going to be on for quite a while, but pop them in the chat as soon as you can. I will do my best to sift through them and make sure that you get your answers live on air. So, Elizabeth, let's dive into exactly why you're here today, if you like.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about video specifically and why it's become so important in your search engine optimization within your website. Do you want to just give us the sort of the top line as to why it's so important these days?
Yeah, certainly. I think people are separating or thinking of film on their website as just a complete separate entity. Everybody really understands or knows a little bit about kind of the SEO, Google Analytics, and will be optimizing their blogs, their website content with those keywords. But actually, if you actually have a look at what's happening at the moment, we've got AI coming on, which means that people are now flooding the market because they have this whole other tool that means that they no longer have to figure out what to write. They can have a blog written for them and have all those kind of keywords fitted into that text. But obviously that's going to make the algorithm completely change in the way that it's viewing your website, your content, and we've always got to try and keep up, and it needs to keep ahead of us. I did Google to see if there was any official lines on how the algorithm actually works, and
that's a very deep rabbit hole. What I do know though about this, Elizabeth, is that the algorithm now is searching for the best possible result that matches the question that it's being asked. So the more that you can add gravitas to you being an expert in that particular field that people are looking for, the better, the more you're going to get found.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's also having a look and prioritizing platforms that so your website or your YouTube channel that is multi-sensory. Years ago, a website was lots of text, and then we sort of went into lots of text with some stock footage, which is a swear word to do film and photography. But now, obviously, and the great sort of process that happened during lockdown was people started to make their own content. So suddenly we have TikTok, Instagram, video. And of course, what also happened is we had people moving onto mobile platforms, which is now statistically one of the highest sort of users. So if you're on the go and you've got this kind of on the go lifestyle, reading a big chunk of text isn't going to be really helpful. But actually watching the TikTok video that lasts 10 seconds seems to be people's preference. So film is there, and it's on this brilliant wave. So back to where we were. So Google is now looking at multisensory websites, which is music, podcasts, visuals, all of these things give an all-rounded view of what you do, what you specialize in. And Google will prioritize video for things like how to. So if you are a professional in a certain area and you have a how-to video, this is gold dust. This is what we'll pull through. In fact, actually, if we can just bring up some of the slides there.
Sure, just bear with me. I'll try and work my magic for us. Okay, here's the first slide.
So we've got this kind of how-to videos, and it's sort of been proven statistically that a video is a lot easier way to sort of demonstrate. So in a Google search, you will get obviously the text, and then you will get a little thumbnail, which is your video. A little thumbnail is basically it's a photograph over the front of your film or a graphic that. Instantly on a little iPhone, this kind of picture is going to stand out a lot more. It's going to be more attractive than that text is there. So as soon as somebody clicks on that, we're now getting what we call user-generated content. So it's kind of a natural flow through. People are going to click through to your site. And then obviously, if your film is, well, we recommend them to be around 30 seconds, but under 59 seconds. If your film is really interesting, and we'll go into that later, you're going to have people sitting on your site for 30 seconds just watching that. That's retention. So that causes a great thing, a great flux in the algorithm. So again, anybody who comes through, watches 30 seconds, you're going up in those Google rankings. So if we just move on to the next slide there.
Sure. That is actually a big reason why you should incorporate video within your website for SEO. The dwell time that you get, I think we got to point out as well, Elizabeth, that Google isn't the only search engine. There are a couple of others, and basically the algorithms work in a very sort of similar way. And one of the key factors is how long people spend on your website, and video is a very good way to keep them on there for longer.
Yeah, and I do actually. Sorry, I do reference Google a lot. So please.
Well, it's the main one everyone refers to, right? So I don't think we should apologise for that.
Okay, brilliant. Can we just move on onto the next sort of visual? Next slide should be there.
This one.
Sorry.
Wait there. Right. Your slide 2. No on mobiles.
So yeah. So this is what I was just saying to you about sort of the mobile platforms are now the preferred way to go. Obviously, people are working from home. People are constantly out and about on the run. So you need to make content that is accessible in that way. And then just moving on to the next one there, please.
Okay, we're there. Nice.
Brilliant. And I think actually I'm flying ahead quite quickly, aren't
I? You are.
Let's go to the next one, which is actually what we were just talking about, which is that Google is the main platform. So do you want to bring up the next one there for me, Miles? Sorry.
Earning backlinks.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. But YouTube is also something that people really should have a look at, and that is the second largest search engine. It obviously is optimized there for your film, so they do have lots of tools on there for people to be able to make their own content. If you have your own YouTube channel, you've got twice as much exposure. There is something that I won't particularly go into, but of course, if your films are sitting on YouTube and they're linked to your website, you are actually avoiding this kind of downloading issue. But it means you can have a lot more footage there on your website. And of course, if you've got your first video, which somebody's clicked on and they're watching, 30 seconds user engagement, they like it, they're going to have a look down, there's another video on there. And again, your videos can be, as we've said, the how-to videos, but also the elevator pitch. The sort of the 30 seconds of who you are, what you do, why you do it, what you offer. And of course, when that's pre-recorded, you can spend the morning with us or with yourself recording and re-recording and just getting that message right. So it's
one of the things I'd just jump in and say here as well, for not only just YouTube, but your videos in general, is really put a little bit of effort into the thumbnails. That's the little sort of image that people see before they click on your video. Mainly because if you don't, you may well get a black screen at the beginning, depending on what your video is, or your video may not be starting on the most sort of engaging part of your video. So certainly what I do know within the studio within YouTube is you can create these thumbnails, or you can grab a particular part of your video to turn into a thumbnail. And I would urge you to spend some time designing those to make them really eye-catching, but of course please don't sort of clickbait people into watching something where they get disappointed that you didn't deliver what you were offering.
Yes, an enormous, gorgeous photograph, and then just you sitting talking to camera.
And that is me. Yeah, a gorgeous photograph of somebody, and then they see me.
But it is a good point. When you start with a black screen, of course, if you have an Instagram, if you look at the page there, you've always got a starting picture. If your film starts with black, that becomes a black square on the Instagram, on the YouTube. So nobody knows, especially if you've got 4 or 5 videos, no idea what I've seen. And of course, interested, if I'm not knowing what I've seen, I'm not going to spend time working out what it is. I'm just going to move on. If you don't choose the thumbnails that you were just talking about, you are more than likely to have a start of your film with your mouth open and your eyes closed, really unflattering. So people aren't necessarily going to click on there. But it's user friendly. I think that's the thing. Just a little thing about YouTube, and this is kind of a tip out there as well, which is, as we are talking about video and how kind of important that is on attracting attention and getting that natural click through to your website and retention. If you are a health provider, you may not heard about this already, but YouTube are on a mission to become the leading health platform. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they are also offering a kind of a certification. So if you're a consultant, physiotherapist, whatever, you will then become a certified visual presenter. And this is where we get those videos. I'm saying how to, but they can be anything. It's, if you're a physiotherapist, it's what exercise you can do to get your shoulder better video. So it's really great to keep your eye on that, especially if you aren't already using film. I would really get ahead of the curve on that kind of health platform and join in quite quickly.
I think this is a big push because there are far too many influencers who have absolutely no medical background that are giving people fake news. Especially around the wellness space about diet and exercise, drink this tea and you'll lose 100 pounds, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I know YouTube are on a mission to clean that up, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and I think the health certification is fantastic. As soon as you get that, we've actually been investigated. We've provided our certificate. We are, brilliant.
And this, sorry, Elizabeth, to butt in there. This goes full circle to reinforce why the search engines have changed recently, because they want to provide the searcher with the most relevant and the best search results. And if you stand out as an expert in your field, you are the people that the search engines want to recommend to people. Yeah,
and that's kind of the big heart of what I wanted to actually talk about and get across today, is that information that is relevant. So we've created a video, or you've created a video, and you've put it out there. If people aren't staying on it, then the whole thing kind of falls down again. And if your content isn't there, and this is where the algorithm is going to notice. If people it's what they call bouncing, isn't it? They're going to
arrive and then leave very quickly. So if you've got a very quick bounce rate, then that gives you a black mark too.
Yeah, brilliant. So we can actually lose the slides and sort of move on to, so we realise that video is the way forward. I mean, every 10-year-old realises that video is the way forward. With
more than us, right?
So much more than us. But how do we create that? What do we do? Well, the first thing is you have to really think differently. I've just done the most boring PowerPoint presentation, just a whole flat load of words on a page. It couldn't have interested me less. In fact, I messaged Miles yesterday and said, I don't like these things. But why do we do them? Because we're not thinking outside the box, because we're sticking to what's safe, what we know. But we can't do that. Everything is moving quite quickly. There is a presentation now that I'd like to show you, which came onto our kind of horizon a few days ago, I think it was. And it is actually Apple's innovative film that they made. Oh, let me just bring this up, sorry. Have you got that, Miles?
Not yet, Elizabeth. Okay, it disappeared off my screen. Oh. This is the wonder of technology.
Oh yeah. Well, I've had this all morning now, haven't I? I couldn't.
You have.
At all.
You have. Elizabeth and I were networking this morning, and the gremlins were there. Were there first thing. I think that I know that LinkedIn are looking to integrate lives into their platform. They've done it with the audio, and they will be doing it with with video. Right, I've got it. Stand by, as they say. We're gonna roll VT. Right, roll VT. I'll mute myself.
So the point that I'm trying to make here is that if Apple wanted to produce all of those statistics in time gone by, it would have been done on a PowerPoint presentation. And listening to all of that would have been incredibly painfully boring. Whereas they found a new and innovative way using video. And if you notice, the platform that it was being played on was YouTube. So we're talking about one of the kind of leading companies. I mean, obviously, as a film and photography, the majority of the software and the kit that we have is Mac. So if they're getting ahead of the curve, and if
what's that? I can hear all the PC users turning off right now.
Right now,
all of the Android people are running for the hills.
I was 100% PC before I picked up my camera, and it was incredibly painful moving to app or Mac. And I do often shout out loud sometimes, like this morning with our technology demons.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, if Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, can play on film talking to Mother Nature, then there's got to be some inspiration. There's got to be stuff that we can do with our companies. Now, sure, they had an A-list actress, but we don't have to have that. It's just about changing the way we think and really being brave. If I'd have gone into an office having not shown that film and said to the CEO, I'm going to get you somebody, she's going to pretend she's Mother Nature, and you're going to go, what? So it's almost like it needs to be done first, just to go, okay, this is safe, I'll come out hiding. So what I wanted to really sort of stress and put across to people is that thinking differently and putting facts and figures out there, telling your story in the best way possible is really, really doable. And it doesn't have to be multi-million-pound budgeted. I think a big gift that we had was during lockdown, when people realised that they needed to go on to kind of social media platforms. And then you suddenly had television. I remember one night there was something on the news and there was somebody presenting from a room in his house, and the door kind of burst open and a little baby with a nappy comes crawling in, and then you see this whole drama of this woman out, should I get the baby, what do I do, I'll crawl across the floor and I'll scoop the baby, all on live telly. And I mean, his face, you could see he was just ashen and he was trying to sort of deal with this situation. But as the viewer, I saw human. I saw fun. I saw, wow, do you know, we are real. And I think during the lockdown, then people did pick up their phones and did things from home, and it brought a human element to it. And actually, Miles, you and I have had a conversation about this, whereas we always feel, obviously, the best thing in the world is to have professionally filmed footage, sure, and make sure your landing page, you've got great landing page film that really engages people. But a blend. You might have a team that go out on the road, electricians or things. I've been talking to a midwifery company that we've done their films, their photography for them, but then midwives go out there, they're kind of front line. So I did a day with them where I trained on presenting, on actually using the technology itself, which is actually user-friendly. I mean, you can have, most Android phones now, you can do your recording on. I've got a whole kind of little bits of advice about kits to buy a bit later. But it is accessible. So I sort of sat down with these midwives, we talked about what they do on the front line, and they do beautiful little posts, and it's advice that they give. They'll have a baby that's got jaundice, and that's there, and they will be talking about it live. So it's really interesting. And everybody forgives the whole kind of the informality of it, if you like.
I would add, I'd add to that as well, Elizabeth, that I see with the social media posts for my clients that the ones that get the most engagement are the more informal ones, and it's because you can relate to it, right? I mean, it's one thing to have the big glossy show reel, and that's absolutely fine, and it is needed to show that you're professional. However, certainly some social media platforms do lend themselves to being human, right? Because ultimately that's how we connect with each other.
Yeah, and I think this is a big block for people. So we get we do lots of elevator pictures. We film that and we sort of take obviously their photographs. So you get a sort of lovely, beautiful headshot in your elevator pitch with music. So we're getting multi-sensory. But there's this huge, I can't be on screen. I can't do this presentation.
Oh, I sound terrible. Oh, I don't look at the camera properly. Oh, my wrinkles. I mean, yeah.
100%. So, I mean, my history in sort of film, television, theatre, it has been a lifelong journey. And so I do always have a session with the clients. And the first thing they bring me is a big script and they say, right, I've written out the whole script. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to put the script down. No, I'm thinking auto cue. And I'm thinking human, real, honest, truthful, from the heart. And so we work together and I get them throughout that session to hone down that and to just bullet points. And then when we do the recording, we kind of just got this lovely human element. And it's breaking down that barrier that I'm not allowed to fluff, I'm not allowed to have a technical problem, I'm not allowed to ooh and ah and I mean, to be honest, in edit, if there are a lot of that, we will cut all of that out and make it sort of a nicer. But it's there, and people really love it. And outtake videos, the outtakes, I mean, they are so popular.
Yeah, I was going to say they can be more popular than the original content itself.
Yeah, I mean, I personally love it. So whenever we're filming and we're getting outtakes, I always say to Mark, yeah, outtake video. We've got enough to edit. So I would say just have a think about what your business is. Obviously, getting professionally filmed footage to get the attention. We need to see that you are professional, that you are successful. But then how can you create further content? So I was speaking to a client who is a doctor. We've been working with him for a couple of years, and we've done some how-to videos. So they'll sit on his YouTube channel. But I said to him, take your iPhone, take this setup, and when you finished your shift at 2 o'clock in the morning, just flick it on. Obviously, have a look at your background. This is something that people absolutely don't. I mean, first of all, they will hold a camera and kind of film up the nose, or Zoom calls. You see people with their kind of computers are, instead of them being the center of the screen being level with your nose, it's kind of down here or tilted backwards. And again, we were talking about this the other day. So please just keep the sort of center of your face to the center of the screen. That's a great place. I mean, people, you see all the youngsters, the sort of 12-year-olds hold their iPhones up here because it's quite flattering.
It's flattering, right? No one wants to have an up nose shot. I'm not sure that's a technical term, but yeah, there's just something very flattering about viewing from slightly above. This seems like a really good point. Place, if you like, Elizabeth, to just give people a few more sort of pointers as to what should be on their list of things to do and don't for creating videos themselves.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, so technically, obviously, I was sort of saying you want to have the camera held still and held in the center. I will again sort of run through just tiny bits of kit. I mean, this is from DJI. It costs £110 and it fits an iPhone on here. And basically you can hold it and as you can see, it's a gimbal. So basically, think of it as a steady cam. So we're not moving around. People want to see clarity. So it wants to be a nice sort of non-moving, because that motion sickness.
There's like Homemade, and then there's Blair Witch Project, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
See, this is what they needed on Blair Witch Project, and again, and that just sort of sits. You can literally leave that and film for yourself. So I would recommend that. Have a think about your background. Just a really neutral background is really important. I see lots of people with plants sort of behind them, and they end up with kind of like Mickey Mouse ears. And then lighting. So we work very closely with Rotalight, and they have a really beautiful kind of beauty dish, which you can buy. But I would recommend, especially if you're kind of wanting to start out, just get something out there, is to just sit by a natural light source, so by a window, and have that in front of you. Now, again, I'm just looking at your screen there, Miles. I can see down one side of your face you have a natural light. You can see the sort of bright side, and then there's a slightly different colour to the other side. So I think you have you'll have a light to your other side, correct?
Yeah. Do you know what? I was looking at myself on the screen, and I was thinking to myself, now which side is my show light? And it's actually this side.
Yes.
And the window is here. This is the natural light side, whereas it's the brighter side, and it's not very bright outside.
No, it's not. But can you see there's also two slightly different colours to either side of the other side of your face? So
is this a good thing? Should we be aiming for this, or should I be better lit?
Well, actually, it's beautifully lit, but people can really get this colour really wrong, and they look orange. And of course, if you're just using something with an iPhone where it's going to try and work out what colour you are, we sort
well, let's see. I can actually turn off my my ring light. There.
Yeah, it makes an enormous difference. And again, ideally, what I would say to people is to have the whole window in front of you. So where my actual screen is behind, I have a very, very big natural light source. I do have a light here ready on standby, but I'm not using it. But everybody, I think, there could see the real importance of the use of that light.
And it was 10 quid, I think, from Argos. It's nothing fancy.
Yeah.
But again, here's one thing that I mean, maybe you've got some pointers for this. Glasses, because I've set up my ring light in front of me before now, and all I get is the reflection in my glasses of my ring light, which obviously isn't great.
Yeah, okay, so then we'll use bounced light. Just simply turn the ring light onto the wall next to you and then let that fall back. Again, this is brilliant, especially as people, because my computer at the moment, as I come quite close, it kind of blows out all the light here. So it's a real direct, harsh light source. A bounced light source, so just moving your ring light to the wall and letting that fall backwards, is a lot softer. It's a lot more flattering. You just need to be careful of the colour that you're bouncing back on. So my wall behind me is green, so I'd look pretty awful. I can show it at the end. I do have kind of a little iPhone set up. Actually, I'll just show you now. Shall I do it now? If I can do.
This is where we need little people to do
I think
for us, don't we?
There's a big delay, I think, on my internet today.
Okay, I'm not seeing your shared screen at the moment.
No, it's only just come now. I don't know.
Okay, here it is. Right, bear with. There we go. Okay.
Okay, Fab. So what you have here is a little ring light. This is by Rotalight. You've got an iPhone holder, and then you've got a little stand, and the whole thing there is £80. So you know that the light you're going to get from Rotalight is going to be really beautiful. I'm going to stop my share now. So you can be quite safe with that. But can you see, you've got this little tiny setup, and you can just pump that in front of a big natural light source, or have I stopped sharing? Yes.
Yep. What about audio, Elizabeth?
Okay, cool. So microphones, I would use a plug-in directly. We don't. We use kind of microphones of which people can walk around freely and stuff, but you then have to sync the sound. So I think just for ease of filming, just use a little one that plugs directly into the bottom of your iPhone, and then it will record both together. And then,
and whereabouts would you recommend people clip it?
Yeah, okay. So literally, sort of just at the top of the lapel here, there's sort of, you know, if you have a wedding, you get that sort of buttonhole. That's where it would be. The thing with microphones though is the wind and the movement, and that I would almost say don't use a microphone if you can't control that element, because when you move, then of course all your clothes make that kind of horrible rustling sound, and then the wind. I'm dressing myself already. So again, I would literally go for just the in-camera sound. We're not trying to get a polished, finished film here. We're trying to show that this is you, this is real. And there was a Vimeo conference, and they were talking about the kind of the AI movement in films.
Have we got a slide on this?
No.
Okay, sorry, apologies.
I'm kind of going a bit off here, but they were talking about the AI and how everything is sort of becoming very polished, premeditated, and how do you make your film stand out? And every single speaker who didn't know what anybody else was going to say concluded that a film that's made from the heart and from truth is the one that is going to stand out, and it's the one that's obviously going to be clicked on, that's going to be watched, that's going to be liked, that's going to be shared, and all of those likes, shares, retention, that all makes your algorithm kind of draw further into your films that you're making. And there is a film that Google Picks put out, and the director, have we got time to watch it? Or
sure, look, it's your time, Elizabeth, so we'll do whatever you like.
Okay, let's have a look, see if I can.
We've had a couple of comments here. Richard is saying that he loves his Shinester profile USB microphone.
Okay.
I probably haven't pronounced that right. Okay, are you ready for me to share what you've got there?
I'm just going to find the right. Here we go.
This is the power of live television, this, folks. Yeah. And I don't know about you, Elizabeth, but I don't use an extra microphone. I just use the camera and the microphone that's in my iMac.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear when people do use a camera and a microphone, and it does sound beautiful. But yeah, again, when I'm doing these kind of things, no, I don't. I am just using the in-camera sound and the in-camera film. Sorry, the camera.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to share.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Ach, sein bester Freund.
Ja, klar.
Wärst du lieber für immer allein oder für immer mit jemandem, den du nicht magst?
Wenn es jetzt Wasser ist.
Du zuerst. Das ist ein guter Song, ne?
Das ist unser Ding jetzt. Lennox, wie geht's eigentlich Sophie?
Gut.
Schön.
Ja, da sagst du mir jetzt, was los ist hier.
Lennox sollte dieses Jahr mal mit einer Jugendgruppe wegfahren. Ja, das passt eigentlich auch ganz gut. Und wir sind, keine Ahnung, auf 1000 Hochzeiten eingeladen.
Okay, there we go. So my point of that is that this incredible director was asked to put together some footage for the new Google Pics and the way that you can erase parts from your photograph. And she was talking about how it's very easy to go out there and think, okay, how does it do this? What do I need to tell the public? Right, this is the product. These are the elements. And we can just say, and it can do this, and you can put some graphics across the screen. And she said, and also having a look at what competitors are doing. So, but if you can push all of that aside and really think about what your human experience is in the world, and what would this actually mean, and how would that create the story for you? And she was talking. Her inspiration came. She was sitting in a cafe, just thinking about erasing. It's erasing what? It's erasing parts of life. It's erasing what part of what life would I do? And it took her down an emotional journey, and it was about her boyfriend from years ago had left her and it all gone wrong, and if she could erase, that's what she would erase. And that's where this advert came. And all the speakers on this kind of Vimeo conference were basically all coming back down to, if you can create something that's real, instead of a list of this is what we do, if you can connect it to an emotion, that is where people are going to invest. And as we've said, I've repeatedly said, investing their time in clicking on your film and watching that 30 seconds, that 1 minute. We saw from the Apple film that you still get the data, you still get the information, but you also get a little bit of something to talk about. Oh my goodness, they had an Apple CEO talk to Mother Earth. It was an interesting watching the Google Pics. He removed the girl from his life. And at the end, he was like, actually, a life without those memories isn't really worth it. Let's connect. Let's make some new ones. So people can really change the way that they're thinking and the way that they're presenting. I think it will be a huge benefit and success to every company, and to try and lose the need to be perfect. I mean, I couldn't have demonstrated that more with today's technology. I also see just in the chat there that Richard has put, he loves his Sennheiser profile USB microphone. Well, I was actually going to comment, Richard. I was actually going to say, when we were talking about microphones, you can tell when you have a professional one plugged in and when you're just using the kind of computer sound. And I was going to use you as an example because every time you speak, your voice is just gorgeous. I comment on it every week when I listen to you. So it does.
He has got a nice voice, though. It does. It definitely helps.
That is true. And there are microphones actually that you can just bring the tone of your voice down, because I tend to go higher in resonance. And again, just having that little tweak where you don't have to run it through a sound editing software is a great help.
I think as well, what's really important is that if you don't do any video and you think that you want to start doing it, don't overthink it. Produce it, get it out there. if in the future you decide that it doesn't quite align or it's not good enough, then you can sort of pull it down. But get into the habit of producing video, and especially getting video onto your website. If you're going to use social media, I would say, you have to use the medium of video these days to catch people's attention. And, think about the channels that you're going to put it on, and make sure it's sustainable, because certainly what I do know with channels like TikTok is, God, it's so hungry for content. You have to produce a lot of content, definitely a few times a week, daily, multi times a day. It does take up a lot of time. So it's very important, in my opinion, that you think about your strategy and you think about whether or not it's going to be sustainable and whether you're going to get the engagement from your target market, right? If your target market aren't on TikTok, don't waste your time producing TikTok.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of research to be done into what is your platform. I mean, there is, I have very little to do with TikTok, but there is a lot of research to say that there is a lot of growth there for businesses. I think that's because, again, as an interface, it's very easy to use. But again, each platform has a different requirement. So I would always recommend that you film, obviously, in landscape, but then you have the stories, and they're in portrait. So it is obviously worth doing your research to know what it is on your channel, because we're now filming, especially for companies that are requesting different platforms. We're filming in a different way, and it's a different way from what we were even a year ago. We're just giving that bit of extra space so that we can put it onto YouTube, and it's a 16.9, which is that kind of that shape, the TV shape. But also we can then crop in and give you an Instagram stories, so up in portrait. In fact, actually, in the show reel you saw at the beginning, we filmed a whole day. Actually, the whole pure day was just portrait, and that was for White Rose Bridal. They're an international wedding dress label, and their platform is the Instagram stories. So that we didn't even bother filming in 16.9 for YouTube. That's their market.
Yeah. I mean, look, at what 100%. So I'm just going to come back to the TikTok point. There are sort of, let's say, traditional businesses that are thriving on TikTok. It's not a young demographic anymore. It is actually an older demographic. But the platform itself allows you to sort of create mini communities within your niche, and you can, if you're clever enough, you can present something dry like law, or I don't want to come up with other subjects that are potentially sort of very dry personal services, and share with everyone in a very simple way what it is that you do. But the point I'm going to try and make is, all right, you might get 1 million views, but if you're servicing a small part of Essex, it doesn't matter that you're getting 1 million views from America. Right. So really think about your target and where they're going to be most active and what type of media you need to produce.
Yeah, I think on the whole, it is something the businesses are doing, but they've always done it with regards to blogs or website content. We just need to think it's exactly the same. We need to know what demographic, where's your audience, what type, and then that's where we need to then make your films. I think we've sort of covered everything that I wanted to wanted to offer. So, are there any questions, I guess?
Well, we alluded to what Richard had put in the chat. Justin has also put a couple of links in the chat to some cheap options for buying kit as well. So thank you very much indeed for that, Justin. If anyone's got any specific questions, say now or forever hold your peace. If you don't want to be public with your questions, then Elizabeth's email is on the screen. You can send her a private message, and I'm sure she'll do her very best to answer them. As we sort of finish up, Elizabeth, if somebody hasn't got any video on their social media or on their website, what would be the sort of the top tips that you'd give them to get started?
I think it's got to be easy, first of all. Okay, so don't take this enormously daunting task of trying to sell a point or make a point. Make a film where it's comfortable for you. So an elevator pitch, for example, who you are, what you do, why you do it. Everybody can talk about themselves from the heart. I would start there. And then obviously moving into what is it that your product does for other people, but just keep them really, really short. And what we're wanting to do, is just pull people in, and it's just that carrot, just bring them to the website where they can read beautiful text and they can look at gorgeous photographs. But I think just keep it small, simple. We do offer tuition. So if people are thinking they're stuck, they don't know how to get started, just come and have a couple of sessions or work through this with you, or work out how you can present, whether you should present from your office, whether it should be from home, from your workplace, all of those things, what you should wear. How you should light yourself. We can get all of those things, just get them started. And of course, the other thing is to talk about something you're passionate about, because usually that would flow quite nicely.
Definitely, they're great tips. Richard's come back on with a specific question, and I'm sure between us we can get this answered. Do you have a view on how many videos a month you should produce as a minimum starting point to gain an SEO benefit through YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you should be posting twice a week. And don't forget what we're actually, the object of the exercise is to get likes, comments, shares, and then kind of pull through and retention onto your website. So if you are getting that content twice a week, I think you're really gaining some track here, because if you didn't have that film, how else would you be getting people there? And would you be getting that flow of traffic? We've just done 12 films for a doctor. She's a foot consultant, actually, surgeon, and she's done 12 professional films. So she's going to send one out every month, and then she's going to intersperse then one a week of what she's going to do from her own kind of practice, what she's seen that day. So she's sort of doing that blend that Miles and I were kind of talking about earlier. And I think that gives you enough kind of visuals to show an all-rounded view, and to get trust. When we see you talking to camera and we see you in your practice with an iPhone, there's a truth in that. There's a connection in that.
Richard, I would add to that the first thing is, how many videos can you produce a month yourself, right? Because if you can do 2, then absolutely great. If you can do 1, then that's a start. But you might want to sort of front load it. So you might want to produce lots of content and then drip it out across time to make it a bit more efficient. One of the hints that Elizabeth and I have talked about is you create sort of long form content. So you sit down and you do your piece to camera, and in between the sort of segments, if you like, give yourself a pause. So between your messages, have a little pause. It doesn't have to be too long, but in your edit, that will allow you to clip things down. So you could take a 3-minute video and produce 3 60-second videos, if that makes sense. All right. The other thing I'm just going to, I know it's the Elizabeth show today, but I will just jump in, because specifically around the SEO on YouTube, remember what Elizabeth said about it being a search engine, Richard, right? So don't just post the video. make sure that you're getting your meta tags into your video and you're writing full written descriptions as to what your video is about. Because again, what the search engine's doing is it's scanning, it's crawling all of that information to see, is that relevant to somebody's question being asked? And that's when you're more likely to be found. So make sure you do that sort of boring bit as well as the fancy bit.
Yeah. Thank you. I forgot to mention that.
That's all right. There's been a lot to sort of get in today. It's been great that we've had people watching live. Thank you very much indeed. Elizabeth, do you have anything to, I mean, we've been going on for an hour, so as much as I'm sure people's attention span has been up for us today, is there anything that you just want to leave people with?
I think if your takeaway from today is just to think how you can differently present your information for your company, and you can just lower that boundary, that kind of barrier, and jump in, then it would be brilliant. As you say, even if you just do one film a month, just that is a brilliant start. And it's nerve-wracking and horrible talking live, talking recorded. It's all horrible. So you just got to get through it.
And one of the good things, it's not quite there yet, Elizabeth, is AI, right? There are AI softwares now where it will take an avatar of your face and you can tap in what you want it to say and it will present that for you. So, it doesn't always have to be you doing the piece to camera, I guess. You can use a sort of an infomercial sort of style or graphics. So it's not all doom and gloom if you don't want to be in front of the camera, is it?
Yeah, 100%. There's so many tools out there, and go explore, I think.
And what I do know as well that Elizabeth can help you with is providing you with a professional presenter if you needed to. If you really were absolutely petrified and you couldn't be on camera, or you think you got a face for radio, then we can bring in professionals to deliver that for you.
That's right, and voiceover. I mean, you could, if you didn't want your face on, you can voice over a film through. So yeah,
there's no excuse, is there?
There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. Make sure that you're getting your video there. Elizabeth, this has been fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future. And like always, a lot of people watch this on catch up. So if you've enjoyed it, then please put a message in the chat. Elizabeth and I would love to know any questions that you may have or any points that you have on this topic. So that wraps us up for today. Thank you so much indeed. Please reach out to Elizabeth at studio@createhub.uk, where I'm sure she will do her very best to answer any questions that you have. And if you do one thing today, get producing those videos and get them onto your website. Every Tuesday, we are live on LinkedIn. Thank you so much indeed to my very special guest today, Elizabeth Keates. It's been an absolute pleasure. And until next time, ta-ta for now.
Thank you.